Okay, so today I wanted to make this video before I graded him because I wanted you to a chance to look at it to make sure you, if you have any questions, you can formulate them. Okay, I will finish those tomorrow. So we have to look at this problem and realize we have to write samples. I mean, we don't have to write samples. We have to use the word samples whenever we're dealing with the array. So the field that's an array is called samples, and you have to make sure that it stays that way. Okay, you can't use a different one. Then we have to write this method. So the thing that you have to be aware of is they explain it really well, this problem, I believe. The values are greater than the limit are changed to limit, and the values less than negative the limit are changed to negative the limit. Okay, that's what you have to do. And then you need to return the number of times or that you changed it. Like, so how many times it happened. So if you're looking at the examples, which is really useful here, is they give you this. And so you need to look at it and say, okay, this one, if 2,000 is your limit, you have to say, okay, this one is greater than 2,000. Okay, and you count them. So this happened once. This is the first time it happens. This is negative 2. So we have to change that to negative 2,000. So you have to replace them. And that's the second time it happened. This replaced it with negative 2,000. Third time, and you have to count every time you changed it. Okay, this one wouldn't be changed. So you have to make sure that it's always less than or greater than, not less than or equal to. So this one is their way of saying that. And then it's going to change it here and here also. So that's why the number's 5 and not 6. So that's their subtle way of saying that it should be less than or greater than, not less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. Okay, so then if we look at the answer to this particular problem, oh, I put it down here. Nope, I don't know where I put it. Here it is. This particular one, this is part A. So you need a counter that counts how many times it changes. So it's going to change it if it's greater than or if it's less than. So here and here you should be changing it. And then make sure you return. So that's nice. So if you have all those things, that's awesome. Okay, traverse the array. You cannot use a enhanced for loop because you have to change values in the array. So make sure you didn't have an enhanced for loop. Okay, oh, I should have fixed this. That should have an I in there. If I forget to fix it, sorry. So if each value is greater than the limit, it's going to replace it with the actual limit. And this part right here, this is negative the limit. You can actually write negative limit at that as actually acceptable. I don't know why I don't do that. I think it's because the first time I learned programming, we couldn't do that, and now you can. So it's like an old person thing. Okay, so this one, the first part A, I believe was pretty easy. It is half of the problem. So even though it was fairly simple, I hope, it was still pretty worthy of points. Okay, part B here. So recorded sound often begins with silence. Silence is a sound representing a value of 0. So all of these guys that are 0, they want you to trim off of them. So the deal with this is, if this was an array list, this would be no problem, okay? Because you could just remove, but this is an array. So arrays can't change size. Remember this? And that's what makes this one a little bit more difficult. So a few things you have to do. There's a lot of ways to do it. But I'm just going to go through a possibility. So what you could do is count all the times, all the zeros that are at the beginning until you get to something that isn't a 0. So the moment you get to something that isn't a 0, we know that this is where like the song begins. So this was what the new array should look like. So you actually have to create a new array and then copy all of these values into it. So the deal is the two things that are kind of difficult are, one, you have to figure out the size of this new array, so creating the size of the array. And two, is copying all those values in. Now, copying it in, you're like, that's not a big deal. It's the indexes that actually make it a big deal. So you have to, we're going to discuss that when I show you the answer to the problem, well, my answer to the problem. So I find that the easiest way would be to maybe count how many zeros were at the beginning, figure out the length, basically take the full length and subtract count. So take the length of this full array and subtract count. And that will give you the size of the new array. Once you've done that, then you have to copy. Now the problem is the indexes. So this is a mess right now. So we're going to go to the answer and I'll show you. Hold on, let me do it this way. Oh, I put it down here. Okay. So this is what I made as an answer. There are multiple ways to do this, but this seems to be a fairly simple way to go about it. You don't have to make it simple. You can make it a lot more complex than this and still make it work. That's not a problem, but I just want you to see these pieces. So what I did here was I counted how many zeros, and the moment that it wasn't a zero, the counting ended. Okay, so let's say that there was, I'm going to just draw an example down here that's pretty simple. So say we have 3 zeros and then we have whatever, some numbers over here. What we want to do is, and then what we did was we just counted 1, 2, 3. So count was 3 in my particular case. So I counted 3. So what I need to do is take this full length here, whatever the length is, samples.length, and subtract that 3. So I'm subtracting my count. And that's, I'm creating a new array this big. Okay. Great. Okay, perfect. If you got that far, awesome. So then there are multiple ways to go about doing this, but the deal is this still exists. This samples array still exists, and this array I called none because I couldn't think of another name. So the new array is like this. It has a size of 6. So you could traverse the arrays either way. I chose to traverse the array of the old array. Okay, but since I did that, I need to start at count. So see how I started at count here? I started at the 3 spot. So if I start at the 3 spot, I can't put this 5 here on this 3 spot. I have to take it and I have to put it in the 0 spot. So interestingly enough, they're all 3 off. So if I just do whatever I is, so I is 3 to begin with. If I subtract 3, okay, I'm going to get to the 0 spot. So I'm in the none array on the 0 spot, I'm going to put a 5. Okay, so then we take it from there. Moving on. The next one, if I go to 4, so the next one would be the 4 spot. So if I'm at the 4 spot, I do 4 minus 3. So I'm always just subtracting 3 because I'm always off by 3. I'm off by however many zeros there were to begin with. So then I subtract 3, and I'll be in the 1 spot, so this 2 goes here, and so on until I get to 9, and 9 minus 3 is 6, so I'm at the end of this array. You could also do this one plus, so you could have started with 0 and gone to, in my case, it would be none.length. So if you started this at 0 and went to none.length, instead of doing 4 minus 3, or whatever, instead of doing I minus 3, you would have done I plus 3, because you would have started at 0 and you needed to get to 3. So you had to go up. So it would be I plus count. In my case, my letters. So either way, it's just a manipulation of indexes, trying to get one to place into the other one. The last thing you'd have to do for this problem is have that new array, that old array equal to that new array. So basically what happens, you have samples pointing at this one, you have to change it and make samples pointing at that one, and then this one just goes into garbage land. Okay, it just disappears. Okay, because now I'm no longer pointing at that one. I am now pointing at this one. Awesome. So is none, but once this method is over, none is gone because it's a local variable. It was just a placeholder type thing, and it's over. Okay, I hope this helped. If you had any issues, I hope you're having a good day.